Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So, like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate it. And welcome to another edition of the Picks and Dimes podcast. I'm your podcast host, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P. Bush. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. I was texting Zood throughout the Super Bowl, man, and it was a boring ass first half, and then it just took off there, and especially in like late third quarter, early fourth quarter, just some huge momentum swings. It was honestly just an ugly game overall, and I think a lot of people were very high on this becoming a high scoring game. It just kind of came down to who was going to make the least amount of dumb mistakes, right? We saw picks, fumbles from players that really don't usually turn the ball over. Mahomes threw a pick, man. I mean, we'll get into it, but it was just a shocking Super Bowl that I thought the Niners had in the bag, and then they just couldn't close. They got away from it, and the Chiefs had some lucky breaks, and they did what they do, man.
Yeah, dude, it was a tale of two halves. Because I'm saying this is honestly during the first half, I almost fell asleep on my couch.
Mhm.
Like I almost fell asleep. My eyes got a little droopy. Like that 0-0. I was like, Jesus Christ, that was like I don't even think it was like it was just bad execution on offense in my mind. It was like a 0-0 game, and then it was 10. Like the Chiefs got 3 points, like 10-3 type of game. I was like, holy cow, this is actually kind of tough to watch. Like I was getting real sleepy. But that second half, oh, that woke me up real quick, and I was exciting. And that ending was a historical ending. Like that was like I felt so glad. Like this is what it feels to be an NFL fan, because that first half I was like, ooh, this is kind of a bad product right now. But that second half, bravo NFL. That ending, I love the new overtime rules. I love it. I guess some of the NFL players forgot about the overtime rules, but I love the new overtime rules, man, because that gives both sides equal opportunity to get a touchdown. I love it. That ending was like again, it was like a scripted like movie ending that way. So bravo NFL. That product was phenomenal. So as a guy rooting for the Chiefs because got a little money on them, oh, it was a beautiful ending. It was a beautiful, beautiful ending.
Yeah, I will say that the first half was definitely not something I was tuning into. Like the little shindig I was at, it was, and honestly, when you're at a Super Bowl party, more than likely most people are not really tuning into the Super Bowl. They're more of the halftime commercials type of people. But I will say during that second half, when it kicked up, it kind of just brought home the fact that NFL is king. Like you said, when you got superstars like Mahomes, Kelsey, you got guys on the 49ers, they're, I guess you could say complete defense, and Brock Purdy, the storyline with that. It just came together, and like you said, to Zoo's point, man, the Chiefs just came through and did what they're supposed to do. So I wanted to ask the guys what was their biggest takeaway from that Super Bowl game, and P. Bush, you can lead us off.
Oh man, I think I got to go Kyle Shanahan here, man. I don't like to hate on him because
oh God,
because it's not, like we said just right before we started recording, it's not his fault. He's a great head coach. Everyone buys into him. They like playing for him. He's pretty much put together an NFC dynasty,
yep,
over the past
conference championship for the last
years.
Couple of years, yeah.
And they just haven't been able to get over the hump. He had Jimmy G there for a bit. You could argue Zoo a little bit is tied to the QB carousel that they've had to deal with over his reign with John Lynch as the GM there, or president of football operations, whatever his title is. But man, I feel like his play calling can just be a little hot and cold sometimes. And it's not that they're bad play calls, it's that he gets away from what works because sometimes he gets a little cute. Now, the cuteness came into effect with that Jawan Jennings pass back to Christian McCaffrey that I thought was
incredible. That was an insane play. Holy
that
cow.
ball hovered in the air. I'm like, how is a Chiefs guy not attempting to run up? But they had the right amount of blocking. And if there's one guy you want to get the ball to in that situation, it's Christian McCaffrey, maybe Debo. But I think, Debo is a good distraction down the field to kind of bring further linebacking secondary personnel away from the line of scrimmage for that type of play. But I know CMC, he only had maybe about 4 yards of carry in this game. I think he had to have had, 25 plus touches? Most of that came in the first half. He had 8 catches, I think, for 80 yards, and he had 80 rushing yards as well. But they just stopped feeding him the ball in the second half. And maybe it was because they got nervous. I actually thought Brock Purdy played a great game. He had a couple missed throws, but that most of those overthrows were because Chris Jones was about to
Yep.
hit
Because
him,
of the defense. He got
right?
hit. He got
So
hit. Can't
I
blame him.
think that the big surprise on both sides for me was the Chiefs' offensive line was not doing what they were supposed to do throughout this entire game. But also the 49ers offensive line with Trent Williams, probably the best offensive lineman in the league, was giving up all this pressure on Purdy, and the Chiefs were giving up all the pressure on Mahomes. And so, to my point earlier, there were all of these turnovers and all of these miscues by players like Pacheco and CMC that we never saw. But what it came down to was who can make the right couple play calls, and Andy Reid just outcoached Kyle Shanahan in this game. They started throwing those out routes to Kelsey every single time. Kyle Shanahan just tried to force down the field throws with Brock Purdy, and that ain't their game, man. That ain't their game. They need the underneath. They needed to get Kittle involved. So it's not all on Shanahan. I know execution's huge. Obviously, coaches can only do so much, but you see what a winning coach at the highest of levels played on Andy Reid's side. And Kyle Shanahan, he's just a couple plays, couple wrong calls right behind because his quarterback played his lights out. He didn't turn the ball over. His star turned the ball over. But, man, I just thought they got away from what was working to the point where Jawan Jennings ended up being the best weapon on that team other than Christian McCaffrey in the second half, man. And that can't happen.
Okay, let's not get carried away about Shanahan getting extremely outcoached by Andy Reid. Let's first talk about. No. We cannot have that.
I think he did.
Storyline. No. We cannot have that storyline right now. We cannot have that. Kyle Shanahan called a good game. The only thing that I could agree with it is like they got away from the run game in the third quarter. It was a little more too pass heavy. I give you that. So that I didn't really like.
Everything.
They were playing up. CMC wasn't as efficient, but CMC has the ability to have those big plays. So you just keep using him, and then he's going to get those crazy like 10, 15, 20-plus yard rushes. So I agree with you that the rushing attack should have been used more in the third quarter. Outside of that, he played against Patrick Mahomes in that defense.
But he's not coaching that.
I'm giving more credit to Spagnuolo's defense. He called an elite game on the defensive side of the ball on third down blitzing, putting Brock Purdy pretty much physicality. We're making you work. We're making these D linemen, these guys to feel him. So I feel like his defensive play calling was the key to this game. Because the offense was rough in the first half. Like that first half remind me a lot of other Chiefs games where they just get off the slow starts in the first half for some reason. Like I'm not sure it's processing or whatever, but the offense in the first half, they usually start out pretty slow historically. I don't really know why, but they always tend to get down 10 points, but sometimes they always make a comeback in the second half. But Andy, I agree. He called a good game with the offensive play calling in the fourth quarter and obviously the game-winning drive in OT. But saying that Andy Reid outclassed Shanahan, I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that. One guy had Patrick Mahomes who made ridiculous plays in the fourth quarter and overtime. Just ridiculous. Like Patrick Mahomes didn't run all year until that one time. Like for a QB run.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like Patrick Mahomes made unbelievable rushing plays, which that was my big highlight point last week, talking about Patrick Mahomes needs to be a rusher to add the extra dimension on this offensive team because I don't believe in the wide receivers as much this year relative to his previous teams. So he needs to be able to dominate, and he was the leading rusher. He did that job and that ability, extended times, extended drives, converted fourth downs. And so those are things that you can't really scheme for. Like Mahomes doing that, I'm just like, okay, that's just Mahomes being special in situations where you're 4th and 1, you get one stop, you win the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to be like, okay, Mahomes did a crazy play, and then they convert, and they go down, they score on a great play call at the end of the game. Like, Shanahan, he's made it to the Super Bowl 2019 and lost to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I don't care. Whatever. That happens. You made it to the big game. I care about making it to the big game. He lost to the NFC Championship. He lost his quarterback last year. So, he lost 2 years in back-to-back years in the NFC Championship game. So this guy is consistently getting to the big games. That's what I care about. If you're in contention, making to the Final Four, making it to the final 2. This is very similar to Andy Reid when he was on the Philadelphia Eagles when he couldn't get over the hump, consistently losing NFC Championship games. And that was back to back years. So I think from 01 to 03, he couldn't get over the hump. In 04, he made it to the Super Bowl and lost. I'm like, okay, like that doesn't take away from Andy Reid being a good head coach. That doesn't take away from Andy Reid being a head coach. He just got Mahomes.
I never said he was a bad
You're saying the
coach.
game's on Shanahan. I'm just like, okay, like
I think parts of the game is on Shanahan.
No,
I don't know if it's completely his fault.
It's not his fault, but do you blame Purdy?
He had some missed throws, but he played a relatively clean game. No, exactly. But I'm giving the credit to that defensive mastermind. But that was defensive like showcase I've seen. I've seen a long
second
time.
half, especially because the 49ers were moving the ball, like they were getting slants to Ayuk, McCaffrey. But here's the point, Zoo, and this is what I'm trying to say. Andy Reid trusted his best player and kept the ball in his hands. That's Patrick Mahomes, right? He was going to make the right decision. He was going to make the scramble plays to create a pass for Kelsey or scramble for 20 yards. Why do you take the ball away from your best player in Christian McCaffrey? That's where I blame.
That's the point I was.
Kyle Shanahan. I don't blame him for. He's not. You have to beat Mahomes. You're explaining all of how Mahomes' greatness, and yes, he played an unbelievable second half and he won the game. You have to be willing to take risks to match Mahomes, and the only way that the Niners were going to be able to do that consistently was with McCaffrey, and he got away from that. And instead, he said, "I believe in Brock Purdy." I thought, like I said, I've said multiple times, he played a good game, but you got to give the ball to your best player to make the plays. They tried to get him in the passing game going. There was that one scramble that Purdy had where he was about to get sacked and he got it out to McCaffrey, ran for about 35 yards. Things like that. That's where, I just think Shanahan, I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm saying he got out-coached by Andy Reid in the second half. Andy Reid made the adjustments. Kyle Shanahan got away from what was working. I don't understand.
Because that first half,
because of the fumble, why did you not trust McCaffrey? It was a good hit.
That was jitters. I feel like that was jitters because the same thing happened with who was the next Pacheco fumble?
Isaiah Pacheco, those back-to-back fumbles from both RB1s of each respective teams. Yep.
Yeah. So I
think it was nerves with that.
There were 4 total mistakes. There were 2 fumbles on each side. Then they had the punt, which was more crucial, and the Mahomes pick.
That's what changed the game. That punt,
that right there.
That foot, that tip. So I don't even blame. I think it was like the kicker,
Ray.
Like he tried to grab the ball, but that was off the kicker, so he had to go for the ball. Like at first glance, I was like, "Oh, he just messed up." But no, it bumped off the foot. So he had to grab the ball, couldn't recover the play, and then they just got a free touchdown. That's a free touchdown.
You know what that reminds me of, Zoo? What was the name of the guy in the Packers who tried to get the onside kick and it went through his hands? He doesn't have a job.
Jeff Janis or
something.
Janis, oh Lord.
No, but he didn't have a job the next year on special teams. I don't know if this 49ers guy that got hit in the heel, man, if he's you got to have situational awareness to just go to the side.
It's a call that they say, don't it's like Peter or something like that. I don't know if he was. He wasn't paying attention.
How do you not see that you're right in front of Ray McLeod? It's unfortunate. You hate to see a guy potentially lose his opportunity over that, but that's what switches a game.
That's the game change. That changed the entire momentum. Because while watching that game, the 49ers were dominating the game completely. They
should have been up 20-0 in
the red zone. Like that's CMC fumbling the red zone. So they were leaving points and they were still up a touchdown. And when that play happened, I'm like, okay, this is a free tutty for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes throws a dime. I believe to MVS, like boom, tutty, momentum change. So that was the game-changing play because I was like, this Chiefs team was struggling to get up the field. They were struggling to get up the field, and they were given a free touchdown. Like that's something that it's not coaching. It's not even the players. That's just special team making a mistake and then them cashing in on offense. And that's something you can't really control as a coach or as one of the main offensive players like a Purdy or a CMC. Like that thing happens, but as you said, man, like CMC, I know you want to give him more touches. The dude had 22 carries and 8 receptions. So that's 30 touches already.
And he probably should have had about 8 more.
He should have had about 30 carries.
30 carries.
And 12
I don't know. 30 touches is still a lot of touches.
He was cooking in the first half, man. He was cooking.
He got 30 touches. So let's put that in perspective, too. So they got the ball to the best player, too.
And he didn't get Debo and Kittle the ball.
Debo got hurt in the second half, which was unfortunate. And it's Debo's been a hamstring thing since he's been in the league.
Yeah,
and,
he was in.
since he's been in Carolina too when he was in college. It's hamstrings that just betrayed him. But I kind of agree that I'm leaning more P-Bush, but like I will give Zoo this credit in. And I think it was really a mastermind clinic on both sides of the ball in terms of the defensive coordinators, because Wilkes holding Mahomes in check and that offense in check that entire first half speaks to his genius as a defensive coordinator. But I will say with Spagnolia, I think that's how you say his last name. McDuffie pretty much being all over the field, especially when Snead kind of didn't maybe have it. And Snead's been good all year, but McDuffie being that piece that they had on Kansas City, just being a lockdown corner, kind of showed why, Kansas City in terms of like Tyreek Hill, they were just like, look, Tyreek, go get your bag in, Miami. Guess what? We're going to invest in Chris Jones, McDuffie, Snead. We're going to invest in these pieces on the Kansas City defense, which in turn is going to make Patrick Mahomes, like he's still going to be Patrick Mahomes, but he's less likely going to feel like he has to go win every game because he can't trust his defense. Chris Jones showed up, like I said, I don't know if he had a sack, but he was making constant pressures. I do feel like with Purdy and Mahomes, like when you're at the Super Bowl level, right? Like you're going to be more than likely going against somebody like, now Mahomes is an outlier, but a really, really good quarterback. So like with Purdy, he had a good game, but it's like, to me, it's hard for me to be like, he had like, he didn't have an excellent game. I just feel like he had an okay game, because to me, we talk about the I guess the punt where it hit the guy's foot and, Mahomes cashed in on that. Well, Purdy had a wide open Debo that he missed in the back of the end zone that would have definitely changed the game. And that was a massive overthrow. And like you said, it's not fair because this is what I talk about.
He got wrecked on that throw.
But you still got to make the throw, because this is what we talk about when you're talking about the greats. Like if you want to beat the Mahomes, you got to be perfect. You got to be perfect. Ask Josh Allen, ask Lamar.
Josh Allen could withstand a hit. Like you got to be physically different. Yeah, you got to be physically different to take a hit.
Physically different, however you want to phrase it. You got to be perfect to beat Mahomes, man. And that's what it comes down to. And like with Purdy, he missed a couple of throws. He didn't miss like a bunch of throws. But like to your point, I think people you made with like throwing the ball down the field, that's not his I guess you would say his best thing that he does well. How many catches did Ayuk have? One or two, maybe? I don't even know if he had
three catches. He had 3 catches only. He only had 3 catches. Yeah.
3 first downs.
I feel like,
but still,
it's to me, and this is just an overall point, with like quarterback play. Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, but I feel like, and people are going to say, well, Brock Purdy didn't lose the game. That's fine, but he sure as hell didn't win in the game. And I feel like when you're going against a monster like Mahomes, you have to have a dynamic quarterback. You just do. Like, I think people get lost in this whole thing of like, well, if you just have a quarterback that plays good enough and you have everything else that's great, you can win. But because I've been making, and like I said, I'm making this argument on this podcast. I'm getting shout down in the group chat because like I said, I think I keep telling people are enamored with the Purdy story. And I get it. He was the last pick of the draft. He's playing for the 49ers, a classic franchise. When they talk about blue bloods, the 49ers are a blue blood franchise. I get it.
Yep.
But it's like, I wrote down like I guess you could say the last 2 quarterbacks. So like Kaepernick played in the Super Bowl. Jimmy G, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Didn't play well, turned the ball over. Average quarterback. Kaepernick, he had 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing, 62 rush yards. I would say he was probably their last dynamic quarterback they had. And if some would argue that last play, when you could say is, pass interference or whatever, but that was the part of the reason why they lost the game. They on that pass interference, because they were getting smoked in that game, if you remember. And then he came back, and Kaepernick was part of that reason. But he was a dynamic guy. And to me, it's like going forward, if you want to spin it forward with Purdy, it's like nobody's saying he's like going to be like, oh, Purdy's just average, and they're just, they're not going to be able to win games in the regular season. They're going to pay him. But like I said last week, man, have a blast, because I don't think he's dynamic. And if you're going to have to pay Purdy, you're losing Debo. You're losing Ayuk. You're probably losing Kittle. You're probably losing McCaffrey. And one would say, but like, and I don't believe this argument, when they were talking about Jimmy G, when he had his run to the Super Bowl, it's like, he had these same weapons, but he also didn't have McCaffrey. It's like this dude is playing on a all Madden team. And to me, if you look at the history since 2000, if you look like since 2000, like I even wrote down the quarterbacks. And a lot of these guys are repeat winners, but like Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles. Those are the guys that you would say that you would categorize as guys. They're not special or spectacular.
Yep.
That have won the Super Bowl since 2000. The other guys who we think are Hall of Fame or damn good players: Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. You can maybe, since he's fell off these last couple years, but if he somehow bounces back, he'll be in the pretty good Hall. He won't be in the Hall of Fame, but he'll be in a pretty good Hall of Fame. He won't be a real Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes, Matt Stafford. And a lot of these guys are repeat winners. You gotta have a dude to win. Like, I think we get caught up in if you're just good, if you're okay, you can win. Purdy and the 49ers are a perfect example of he's got like I said, Hall of Fame left tackle, probably a Hall of Fame running back, 2 all-pro receivers. He's got it and like a close to Hall of Fame tight end. And he couldn't get it done against another dude like Mahomes. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that because you're going against, as we kind of see, that he's a top 2 quarterback or the GOAT to some people. But even if it ain't Mahomes, I still feel like if you have another quarterback that come in there that's super dynamic, and when I say dynamic, I mean a quarterback that can run, make high-level throws, do all this stuff, you're probably going to lose too. And you're not going to have the roster that Purdy has. You're not. That is too elite of an offense, bro.
I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy guy, but I got to defend him just a little right now. Someone dynamic as a rusher and aggressive. And a passer. High-level thrower as a passer. Okay, so you're talking about an elite QB1, face of the franchise guy, right?
Yes.
Do you think Lamar Jackson's that?
Yes, I think Josh Allen is that. I think C.J. Stroud is that. I think if those guys were in that Super Bowl and had that roster that the 49ers had, they win that game. They win it.
Okay,
they win that game.
All I have to say is when this same Kansas City
wins that game.
When Kansas City Chiefs, like obviously I agree with Josh Allen because I think Josh Allen's the second best quarterback in the NFL. I've always been a huge Josh Allen guy. Mahomes tier 1, Josh Allen number 2. He played great in the playoffs against them. Josh Allen solidified as my number 2. But if I'm talking about a guy like Lamar Jackson, who won the MVP, and I think he deserved the MVP from the regular season performance.
MVP winner.
Yeah, 2-time MVP. So his regular season resume is Hall of Fame caliber. But in the playoffs against the Kansas City, this is the same defense he played against. That offense was not good. The reason they lost wasn't because of the defense. It was because of the offense. It was because of the offense. It was because of the offensive production, and it's because of some certain mistakes they made on offense. And you could reasonably say that Brock Purdy played a better playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs than Lamar Jackson did.
This is semantics, bro. It's semantics.
I don't know. That's all I'm saying. They played against the same defense.
Semantics, bro.
They played against the same team.
So if we put this, Brock Purdy is not in the playoffs with the Ravens offense. If you want to do that,
that's the point.
He's not even in the playoffs, Zeus. Stop. He's not in the playoffs with the Ravens team. He's not. Because he don't have half the playmakers that he has. And you know that's true. You may try to make the argument that he would be in the playoffs, but he wouldn't even sniff the playoffs with Lamar's offense or Josh Allen's offense.
He would make the playoffs only because the Steelers
have an elite defense. They have an elite defense. Like they could have been like a Cleveland Browns type thing.
2 elite defense receivers, guys. They have 2 all-pro receivers, a Hall of Fame left tackle, and an all-pro tight end, and an all-pro running back. What are you guys not seeing?
No.
What if Lamar's offense has any of that, or Josh Allen? Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs and a really bad number 2, and Gabe Davis who's inconsistent. Dalton Kincaid, who's a rookie. Who's showing promise. Lamar Jackson lost his all-pro tight end. He made Isaiah Likely look better because of who Lamar Jackson is. Don't even get me started on running backs. And then you had Zay Flowers, who I said is a good player, but we saw which I've been saying the entire year as a rookie, we saw in the biggest moments he wasn't ready for that game.
Yeah, he was immature.
Because he's a rookie.
He was immature.
So what are we talking about? Nobody's wanting to acknowledge his team is so much better than everybody else's, guys.
That's obvious.
So that, to me, if you can't make the equivalent saying, well, Brock Purdy played he better play a freaking better game because he has way better options than Josh Allen, than Lamar Jackson, I mean, Aaron Rodgers got hurt this year, and I would say his weapons are better. But Aaron Rodgers, I think you put in that position. There's a lot of guys you could put in Brock Purdy's position who would excel. And I think if you put Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, hell, Trevor Lawrence, any guys that are who we'd say are really good quarterbacks in that position, they win that game. Nobody has the weapons he does. That's a big deal.
I love Trevor Lawrence. I cannot give him that. This dude had an awful season. He had an awful year this year.
But let me say this, and I'm not going to relate it to the Niners because we know how good the Niners are. Right? Most quarterbacks
they are elite, bro.
But you know what? You never heard that argument to most people. I used to make it jokingly. Would Mahomes have had the success that he did immediately if he didn't have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill?
No.
It is the system.
He shit in and won, though.
Point. You have to have an entire team. I'm not saying Purdy's the greatest quarterback, but here's the thing. Who are the two quarterbacks that have beaten Mahomes in the playoffs?
Burrow. I forgot about Burrow.
No. But listen to me. They're not dynamic. Every dynamic quarterback
Burrow's dynamic is a dynamic thrower.
Okay.
And I think he's a better athlete than Purdy.
Inclusive. You were saying all
I think he's a better athlete than
Purdy. You said elite rusher and elite passer.
Elite rusher and elite. So Jalen Hurts lost to him. Josh Allen loses to him.
Jalen Hurts had a better game than Brock Purdy did last year against that same team.
Lamar Jackson loses to him.
He had 4 touchdowns and 300 yards.
Oh, that's a different team. That was a different defense. That was a different defense.
Oh, God. All right.
Last year's defense versus this year's defense, very different. Very different.
Chris on that defense last year, and Steve went on that defense last year. McDuffie went on that defense last year.
Patrick Mahomes said this defense is the best defense he's
ever played. I don't care what
Patrick
Mahomes said. I'm asking you, was those same guys on that team last year that Jalen Hurts went against?
Yeah, they were giving up 35 points. Like, they were not a good defense.
This is a good-ass quarterback. What are we talking about? Like,
no, I'm not.
He had 4 touchdowns and 300 yards against that defense.
We're not saying that they're bad quarterbacks, but my point is that you don't have to be dynamic to beat Mahomes. It might help because you have to plan for more, but it's not a perfect correlation. The two quarterbacks are definitely pocket passers that have beaten Mahomes. An old Tom Brady and Joe Burrow.
Tom Brady's he doesn't count. He's the greatest quarterback ever.
Okay,
you can't
Joe
compare
Burrow,
other people to him.
Coming off an ACL injury, he was not running the ball. He doesn't run. So I'm saying
he was making high level ass throws.
These quarterbacks don't play against Mahomes. They play against their defense, right? So you can't argue that. Did Purdy lose the game for him? No. Did he win the game for him? No. He did his
job. He's average, and that's been my
point
the entire time. He's average.
At the end of the game, every time he left the field in the fourth quarter and overtime, his team was up. So he needed his defense to step up to get one more stop on a 4th down, and Mahomes pulled it off. Mahomes pulled off.
He went against Mahomes. I don't want to confuse it saying like you're going against Mahomes. Like he's an alien, as we're seeing. Like him and Brady are just two different type of guys. But my whole entire point is this whole fantasy land of thinking like, oh, you just have to build a team like the 49ers and have an average dude. No, if you have an average quarterback, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Period.
You'll get there.
You're just not. Unless you get lucky with injury or you're facing another average guy. Like that's my point. Like to me, the Purdy conversation is like, to me, he does not need to be in a conversation with no Lamar, no Josh Allen, no CJ Stroud.
I don't think anyone's putting him in that conversation. He's in the tier below. He's in the tier below.
To me, and I think that's what it is. I just feel like with San Francisco,
10 to 15. That's my tier for him. 10 to 15.
But at 10 to 15 quarterbacks are not winning your Super Bowl. You're just not.
But they can.
They can, and they have.
Who?
Eli Manning.
Eli Manning.
Eli Manning is not. Wait, what? He's Brock Purdy?
No. I'm saying he's a 10 to 15 quarterback.
He's worlds better than Brock Purdy. Wait, what?
He's at 500. His career record's 500.
He led the league in interceptions for multiple years. He just had some amazing moments.
Going to make the Hall of Fame, or is Eli Manning going to make the Hall of Fame?
Eli Manning, because he has 2 Super Bowl wins
over Tom Brady.
He
figured out how to be a GOAT quarterback. Purdy didn't, and I don't think he ever will.
He had 3. You want to talk
just
about
that? Twice.
The reason Brady hated playing against him is because he played against 3 All-Pro defensive linemen every year in straight hands.
And I'm glad you said that. Like the 3 All-Pro defensive guys that he played against. So to my point, with New York with the Giants, they had those All-Pro guys.
Yeah,
they had all that, and that's how they handled Brady. With Purdy, he has all these All-Pro guys. All of these All-Pro guys. I know, but what I'm saying is it's the talent is what I'm talking about. And with Purdy, I don't think he has the talent to get them over the hump. Everybody's talking about, well, Jimmy G. If you look at Jimmy G's numbers, I can show you some stats right now. Brock Purdy is not a significant upgrade over Jimmy G. He's not. I can show you the numbers right now. If you want to hear the numbers on what I think Jimmy G is, like Jimmy G, what Brock Purdy is not crazy. Like everyone's like he's a way better quarterback. Like if you look at this with Brock Purdy, through the first 27 starts, including the playoffs, both 21-6, both of them. Completion percentage, both 67%. Brock Purdy threw 248. Jimmy G threw 246. Touchdown to interception, 48-14, 40-24. Passer rating 110-97. And that's without having McCaffrey. Huh?
Wait, who's 40 and 24?
That's Jimmy G. So Brock Purdy threw more touchdowns than him.
That's pretty bad.
He threw more interceptions. But guess what? He has McCaffrey. He didn't have McCaffrey. That's a massive difference. Yeah. He had Elijah Mitchell and scrap heap guys off the scrap heap. And this is to my point. I just get like my thing is that everybody, and like I said, I don't care what people say. I'm not a huge Brock Purdy guy. I think he's okay. But you can't in this league, especially when you're going against Mahomes, you can't have just okay guys. You just can't. You gotta have guys that are legendary. Are on the way of being legendary. And as much as you say, well, Lamar doesn't have the playoff performances and all that stuff, he has 2 MVPs. He's proven, like you said, everybody can't win in the playoffs. There's only one winner. And I can't argue the playoff success, but I can argue he has 2 MVPs. So that shows to me he can dominate this league. He can dominate it. Josh Allen has shown throwing 50 touchdown passes and not throwing 50 touchdown passes, but having 50 touchdown passes. He can dominate in this league. So to me, those guys are game breakers and game changers. Yeah. CJ Stroud came in as a rookie and is tearing it up. Joe Burrow faced the beast in Mahomes and tore it down. And like you said, he's not a dynamic athlete. And maybe I was being a little bit too hyperbole with saying you got to be an elite rusher. But these guys, like you said, you know it when you see it. And with Purdy, I don't see it. And I will go out on a limb and say, I don't think they're going to win a championship with Purdy. Because if you're going to pay him, you're not keeping all those guys. And then guess what? If you only have one, like you say, if you're like Lamar, because this is what we talk about with Lamar. He also talks about his weapons are upgraded. He had a 5'9" rookie receiver. His all-pro tight end got injured. Nobody wants to bring that up. He made Isaiah Likely who he is. Like Josh Allen made Gabe Davis who he is. He made Dalton Kincaid. It speaks to their talent. It's not about these guys are so much better. Because if you put Isaiah Likely on another team and Zay Flowers on another team, they're okay players.
Yeah.
Same thing with Gabe Davis. And I love Stephon Diggs. I love Stephon Diggs. And he cooked for Kirk Cousins. But we'll see. Like if Stephon Diggs actually gets out of Buffalo and goes somewhere else, have a blast. Because Josh Allen, like I said, I'm not a massive.
Also old.
He just gotten older. He has gotten older. But I'm just saying, my overall point is, I just feel like I don't want to hear all the praise with Brock Purdy. I'm sick of hearing it. He's okay.
We're not praising him.
I'm not saying you guys. I'm just saying the media at large. Because, like you say, I'm gonna go crazy if I see next year. Well, Brock Purdy's like, of course, he's like in top.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
It's like, I don't want to hear.
Let's say the Chiefs lose that game. Who gets the blame? Let's say the Chiefs. Let's say they
don't convert that 4th and 1.
That 4th and 1. That was the end of the game.
Who gets the blame?
Who gets the blame on the Chiefs?
Probably Mahomes.
No,
they wouldn't agree with it.
It'd be Pacheco.
I'm just saying, as a quarterback, you're gonna
fumble. And my point is that your dynamic player, like they will never blame Christian McCaffrey for this loss, even though that turnover
that fumble was key, huge game-changing play.
First quarter, but yeah,
right. So their dynamic player would get the fault if they lose that game, but they're not. Because he is the dynamic player. And that's the whole thing with Mahomes too. So it's the credit when they win and it's the no and the it wasn't their fault when they lose. That's where you can't put it on Purdy because he is not their top 5 player on that team. Right? So he's doing his job. And the job is to get the ball to the dynamic players, which he was doing. And tying back to my point, Shanahan didn't scheme their players properly.
That is a good point. That's good when you tried that. Yeah.
To get them the ball into their hands. The dynamic players on your team are not equal across every single team. Some teams make it because their defense. Other teams make it because, Lamar's an unbelievable player. But when you force Lamar to play against good defenses, he kind of chokes. He really does. I mean, you can't really deny that. You could say the same thing about Dak. Yeah. You could say the same thing about T-Law early in his career. We have yet to see that with C.J. Stroud, but he did get manhandled in that second game in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's rookie year.
Rookie, exactly. Josh Allen has had some process. Josh Allen's had some bad games. Jalen Hurts had a bad year, relatively.
Bad playoff
There's ups and downs, and I'd actually not saying I would take him, but a consistent guy that's not going to win or lose you a game is sometimes all you need. Is that going to get you a dynasty? No, but it might get him one playoffs. And that's what Jared Goff did for the Rams back in the day.
Yeah,
And that's what he tried to do with the Lions. So it happens. No team's going to win every year. You just got to go through Mahomes, man. And it sucks. Because to your point, Shanahan's not
quarterback's got to go through Mahomes. So they'll be,
Yeah,
Shanahan's not
good luck, AFC, yeah.
So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Brock Purdy is, I think Brock Purdy overall is just a really good system quarterback.
Yes.
He's a really good system quarterback, and that's his role on the team. And they don't need him to be godly Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. Like, that's not who he is.
Once he gets paid and these guys go, does he have the ability to do that? That's my point.
He can't be making $40+ million.
He's a quarterback. He is going to make that. You're not going to be. He's not going to get a.
I'll give you that point. You're going to give him $40 million. But right now he's getting paid.
He just went to a Super Bowl zoo. He's getting a massive contract. What are you talking about?
$40 million?
$40 million? $20 million and build around a team. That's not happening.
Let's give him the Jalen Brunson. Give him the Jalen Brunson Knicks contract, man. 4 for $100.
$25 million. Dude, I'm giving him 40.
I agree he should get like 20-something million, but I don't know if he's going to get that because he's going to be like, I don't care. You guys were
He's been underpaid the last 2 years. He's been underpaid.
And he's going to say, you guys messed up drafting Trey Lance. You guys got rid of Jimmy G, and guess what? I saved you because of my play. Even though it's like they would say, "Well,
that's true though."
He gonna say, "I saved you guys."
Be helpless without him. They would be helpless.
And then he'll have like, guess what? Even the year before that, we could have been talking about back-to-back Super Bowl appearances because I got hurt against Philly.
Yep, that is true.
He's coming there with that negotiating power. It's just like
he's gonna have
a lot of leverage, which is
gonna have leverage. But he's not a $40 million guy. He's like a $20 to $30 million guy, and I think he deserves that money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He might almost would have been better if he would have been maybe because he got drafted the last pick. Like if he would have been undrafted, because then maybe he wouldn't be with 49ers, but like maybe they could have got a deal done like last year, and it would have been maybe closer to like what his market value is. But
see coming off the injury, see how he was probably.
Yeah, just coming off the injury. Yeah.
But like I said, we've all agreed like with Brock Purdy, he was going against one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. And Mahomes, and like going to the next topic. Like I said, I'll just start off because I'm already talking about it. I feel like with Mahomes, that last drive, we all kind of knew what was going to happen, but it's like I say, it's still fun to see how it transpired and how he's able to get down the field and do it. And to me, it's like he encompasses everything of what you think of, like I just said in the last topic, like as what you think of a dynamic quarterback. Like he's not Lamar Jackson running the ball, but he can run. And he can run pretty well. He's tough too. Like when he wants to get tough yards, he'll throw his shoulder down and get those extra 2 to 3 yards. So it shows you he's a tough runner as well. High level thrower, all kind of arm angles, whether it's 50 yards down the field or a slant, he knows how to get the ball out and throw it at an elite level. Clutch. Being doubted the entire playoffs, which is still kind of insane, even though, like you said, it was on the road against Buffalo, it was on the road against the Ravens. I get it. He still was doubted, and they were looked at as like, hey, this is a team that, during the regular season, they were kind of up and down. And Kelsey didn't like he wanted to play. Hell, Kelsey didn't like he wanted to play in the first half. But he turned it up on the second. He turned it on in the second half. And when I'm watching Mahomes, it's just like, everybody, I mean, all of us as younger kids and teenagers stuff and, into our adulthood, we watched Brady, and we saw how he was just New England's savior. Like anytime we felt like New England was down, I mean, hell, if you watched any of the Super Bowls before that, and then the Atlanta Super Bowl should have just pretty much put it to bed in terms of like this guy, just any situation he's going to be able to come out of. Like I said, I've started to feel that way with Mahomes. And I think this is going to ultimately come down to preference. Because I'm not like, I've always been a guy, and this is how I've been since I've been watching any type of like organized ball. I don't think the most rings makes you just the best. I don't.
Nah.
I don't. I look at it like, hey, I'm looking like, what is this, the play of the person? Like, what does that play show you? Like, especially in today's game. Like I've said, like a lot of these guys that are coming into the league, they all have the ability to run. Even the guys they're labeling as pocket passers like a Drake May, he can run. Like he's an athlete. Like these dudes can all run. Now, I'm saying Drake May gonna run a 4.6, no. But he's like, if you watch his games, like he can get outside the pocket and move around. And they're probably saying like him and Michael Penix may be like the two worst athletes, but like both of those guys can move around. So that's the league now. And to me, Mahomes encompasses all of that. So like, I think just for, talks, he probably has to get one more. Ideally, I would say get 5. But to me, if he gets like one more, I think he's the greatest of all time because I got eyes. I think he does, as a player, individual player, he does I wouldn't say a whole lot, but he does a good amount of stuff better than Brady as a player. That's why I never got caught up in Brady's thing of like, he's one of the top, like you said, like who are the top players in NFL history? Tom Brady is the most accomplished and the most, like I say, clutch, but I'm taking Deion Sanders over him as a player. If I'm on a playground, I'm taking Deion. If I'm on a play, I'm taking Lawrence Taylor. If I'm on a play, I'm taking Randy on the playground. I'm taking Randy Moss. I'm taking those guys over him. Because I can go play quarterback on that same playground team and just throw go routes to Randy Moss. Or I can just do end arounds with Deion Sanders and he's taking it to the house.
Did that and he threw about 52 touchdowns in a season.
So. Yeah, he did do that. Tom Brady would probably, because he's so humble, more than likely, he'd probably say, yeah, Randy Moss Riggs is a better player, individual player as me. But to me, if you're just looking at the eye test, it's like Mahomes' play style, his ability to make mistakes. Like you said, he threw that awful interception. I mean, it's been a long time since he's thrown an interception in the playoffs. But like he bounces back. And you're seeing like his teams in terms of how they're changing. Like we're going to also see and this is projecting, so we can't really tell, but we're going to see like when Kelsey ends up leaving. I don't know when that's going to be, but when he ends up leaving, he's going to have to figure it out on the fly. And to me, it's like he figured it out with Tyreek. Like you said, he had to carry his defense. He won a Super Bowl with his defense, or defense not being as good. He's won in different iterations. And in most of these Super Bowls, not everyone, because there's probably one that you say he played he's been the best player. Like Brady got half of his Super Bowls or majority of his Super Bowls at the beginning being just defense. Like they was calling Brock Purdy a game manager. That's no fault to his own. And that's why I hate the conversations about Belichick not being as important. Like you say, if I put the percentage, it'd be like 51 Brady, 49 Belichick, because people really forget those first 3 to 4 Super Bowls. It was his defense carrying those games and Brady not making mistakes and making a clutch drive. So to me, it's like, it's going to be all about purpose. It's the same thing with LeBron and Jordan. You're going to get people that's going to prefer LeBron. It's going to be people that prefer Jordan. It depends on who you're talking to. What age, what rank, it doesn't matter. Like you said, there's when you're talking about the two guys in terms of like Brady and Mahomes, it's going to be preference. Because do I think he's going to get 7 Super Bowls? No, he's not. That's like, I hate to say anything's impossible, but it's damn near impossible. And to me, I feel like one more Super Bowl, especially if they get a three-peat, I mean, respect to Brady. Respect. But come on, man. Come on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like the 7 Super Bowls, I love Mahomes. Technically, he is on pace. He's on his career, sorry. He is on pace to get 7 or more. But I don't think he's getting 7.
No,
like I think what's Tom Brady.
What's the odds on that in Vegas?
Yeah, like I don't even know because
hell no, longest futures bet of all time, right there.
Seriously, like I love Mahomes, but what Tom Brady accomplished in his career, playing till 45 and still being good when he was 44, like that Tampa Bay run is my favorite run of his.
That's his biggest feather in his cap. I feel like, yeah,
like his second arc in his career in his 30s and 40s was the prime Tom Brady, and it was way better than his 20s Brady. So he had like multiple Hall of Fame careers from being the game manager of winning those first three Super Bowls, and then his part 2 of his career when he was the guy winning all the Super Bowls and got all those Super Bowl MVPs, man. So for me personally, for Mahomes, I'm gonna need to see. I like you. I'm not a count the rings guy, but I would like to see 5. I'm gonna say 5. Because I want to match Tom Brady. Like this guy's got to get Super Bowl MVPs. Like that's what I care about. When you win the Super Bowl, yeah.
Do you know how many Super Bowl MVPs he has?
Yeah,
7.
4. No.
5. He's 5 for 7.
Yes, yeah, he's 5.
In the
right?
first 3, he was 2 for 3. In their second Super Bowl win, he threw for 350 and 3 passing yards. Boys, let's not say he was a game manager. All right. He threw for 350
for the most part, but yeah, they did in that second when he did. He did. Yeah.
No. He came into his own in their second one.
Okay, so that's how I'm putting it as 5 Super Bowl because for a quarterback not to get the Super Bowl MVP on a winning team, it's kind of hard. It's kind of pretty much you did so much on offense. It's very hard. It's like you took that
really bad
that game against the Rams when it was the defensive battle and just nothing happens. I think that was Julian Edelman winning like the Super Bowl MVP because he had like the most receiving yards.
Yeah, I'm not sure who won it.
Like it was like legitimately like it's extremely hard for a quarterback not to get it. So pretty much, I want to see Mahomes to win 5 rings and him being the Super Bowl MVP of those 5. So he is the reason of them getting it done. And that's all I need from him. And after that, just do what he's doing for his entire career for the next like 10 years. And boom, that guy's the GOAT in my opinion, because his start in his career is the most ridiculous start I've ever seen. Like across, like, how do you go in as a second-year guy and throw for 50 touchdowns? That's prime Tom Brady, prime Peyton Manning, that Denver year when I think he threw for 55 passing touchdowns. So those are some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he's doing it as a second-year guy in his first year starting. Like that's how he starts out his career, because he showed he could be the dynamic playmaker throwing the top Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And then to lose Tyreek Hill and win 2 Super Bowls without the fastest man alive in the NFL, people could be like, oh, he got all those weapons, right? And that's a legitimate argument. You got a Hall of Fame tight end, you have a Hall of Fame wide receiver, you have a Hall of Fame head coach. Okay, he's got all these weapons. You can say the same about Purdy, right? He got all these weapons, man, on offense. You should be able to get it done. He loses his weapon, gets these random Mecole Hardmans and MVS and Juju Smith-Schusters.
A bunch of Jags.
Yeah. You got a guy that might not even a Jag. You got a guy on the Jets that got waived and they picked him up and he helped them win a Super Bowl. It is incredible that what he's done with these just ragtag group of wide receivers and wins. This is his most impressive Super Bowl because the offense wasn't all up there. He could just I remember in that Super Bowl against the 49ers that first time, he just chucked it up to Tyreek Hill and then Tyreek made a play. The throw wasn't even that accurate. Tyreek made an unbelievable play, and that helped them win the Super Bowl. But this time, he had to be the guy. He had to make and I can't get over that rushing. Rushing 90 yards when it's a third down, when it's a 4th and 1. Those plays were incredible. Avoiding Fred Warner, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that rushing ability, because when he runs, he looks clumsy, man. He's not like a Lamar or a Justin Fields. When they run, it looks like
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh, it's just boom. I'm like, that's like a freaking Ferrari. When Mahomes runs, it looks a little clumsy, but I'm like, how could they not tackle this guy? He doesn't even look like he's running that fast, but he's just he's sneaky,
more quick than fast. Yeah.
Yeah. I look at him, I'm just like, how the heck did he pull that off? Jesus Christ. So Mahomes' rushing ability, he's on pace to win. If I think he's gonna get 5 at the end of his career. Yeah, I'm projecting 5 and
4 at the minimum.
Yeah, 4 at the minimum. Next 10, 15 years, him not winning one, that's unfathomable to me. But him getting 5 Super Bowl rings with 5 Super Bowl MVP trophies, for me, that would solidify him as the greatest player of all time. Because my guy, the limitations. What is Mahomes' weakness? Tom Brady, he's great, but we know
that's a good question. What is his weakness?
Because he is Tom Brady mentality. He got the brain.
Fire.
Yeah, he's got the leadership ability. He got the composure. His teammates like him. And he's got the physical ability an Aaron Rodgers. I think that's the one thing Aaron Rodgers lacks is that mentality. I feel in the playoffs, he's mentally not as strong as a Mahomes or a Brady or someone like that. Because I love Aaron Rodgers' physical skill sets. I always thought that he was the greatest just based on his physically. But his mental, I saw it against the Niners. I saw it against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that NFC Championship game. Mentality, I was like, what is going on? Mahomes makes a mistake, Sean. I think you mentioned it. Makes a mistake, throws a pick, just comes back out, rubs it off. Mentality-wise and physically-wise, that's what makes him, I think, he's going to be the greatest of all time. Tom Brady maximized his ability, but he has physical limitations that he admits, not the fastest guy, man. He's not the biggest guy. So Mahomes got a little best of both worlds. So he got the best of both worlds.
Here's my only argument then. Isn't it more impressive than what Brady did then?
You could say Tom Brady's career might be more impressive at the end of his, Mahomes retires, I don't know, 10, 15 years. He might be most impressive. But if I think of the greatest of all time, combining skill set, accomplishment, resume, all those factors into one, the face of the NFL, who's the greatest quarterback of all time, in my mind, is going to be Patrick Mahomes when he retires. He's not there yet. He's on your point. He's not there yet.
To your point, people, just to answer your question, I would say it probably is a little bit more impressive because, you're saying, with the skill set of Tom Brady, and one could argue the skill set with Mahomes, he came in a better prospect than Brady.
It's
not even arguable. He was the better prospect. So yeah, you could argue Like to your point.
And I'm not saying that that's like my deciding factor here. I got to play devil's advocate because and here's the thing. Could he do it? Absolutely. Like you said, he's 7 years into his career. It's just ridiculous. He's pretty much winning the Super Bowl 50% of the time if you take out the year he didn't start.
The year he starts, he's
Now,
50%.
Here's the thing. A lot of people, I'm not saying they put maybe a specific quarterback ahead of Brady because at that point when he left the Patriots, he had won 6 championships, right? So a lot of people, they go to the rings first. Sure, Joe Montana might be a more dynamic quarterback of all time. Sure, Troy Aikman had some good years. I'm not comparing them directly to Brady. But what was Brady's solidifying moment for his quarterback history? It was when he
Buccaneers?
left Belichick
Buccaneers,
and won without him.
That's his
That was insane.
big
That's
feather.
biggest.
So here's my thing. You guys say 5. I agree. He needs to have at least 5 Super Bowl rings. He needs to win without Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here you go. You can say Mahomes makes Mecole Hardman better MVS. How wide open were they both on those two?
That was all scheme. I give you that. I give you 100%
all
that.
Scheme.
That beautiful scheme, that in and out, wide open. Yep.
In and out. He's and when I say wide open, there was not a defender within 5 to 6 feet of these guys.
Yeah.
Now, is that all on Mahomes? Or
no, that was play calling. I give you that.
But I'm saying it's not always on Reid because Mahomes is obviously able to extend plays and all that. But if you're going to call him the greatest of all time, I want to see him do it with multiple players. I think that's why a lot of people hated Brady for so long because they're like, oh, it's just Belichick. Well, Belichick, up until he just retired, has done nothing without Brady.
Nothing.
And Brady got
absolutely nothing.
Brady got them to the playoffs 3 times and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, and he did that in his 40s. Now, I think the difference, you guys, obviously he's less talented. I'd say they have, in a depth aspect, the same arm talent. In ability of different ways to throw the ball, it's Mahomes. Hey, you watch him throw deep balls to Randy Moss, man. Those were absolute dimes. And he didn't even win a Super Bowl with that guy. His best wide receiver ever, he didn't even win a championship with. Yeah. The next best is Gronk and Deion Branch. You want to talk about weapons? Okay, maybe Julian Edelman.
Branch.
So hey, he's a Super Bowl. He won one of those first 3. He was the Super Bowl MVP guy. I'm not saying Mahomes is great because of his weapons or because he has Andy Reid. Obviously, it makes his life a whole lot
easier. Especially Andy Reid.
Especially those overlapping 3 years or so when he had all of that at once. Now he has Andy Reid. He's lucky to have gotten Rashee Rice going this year. That honestly probably saved their season because they would be throwing to Sky more, and Kadarius Toney would still be playing.
Kadarius Toney off the team.
And
Justin
when we
Watson,
saw
those are guys.
Oh, Jesus, stop it.
And here's the thing: before Rashee Rice kind of came into his own, even Andy Reid was having a hard time scheming for this team.
Can't scheme for drops.
And that's with Mahomes. So look, he needs 5 Super Bowls because he will win the MVP if they win Super Bowls. It's just kind of how it goes. Yeah. The only times Brady didn't was the one early in his career when it was very low scoring game. Yeah. And Deion Branch had 10 catches for 130 yards. It's the same reason that Julian Edelman got it against the Rams. It's pretty much the exact equation on those 2. And those are the only 2 he lost for his team. The other 5 he won. He's the difference maker. But here's the argument, man. It's the Jordan and LeBron debate. That's exactly what it is right here. You're talking about a quarterback.
I feel like Mahomes is a little
ahead of what Lebron has done in his career.
Especially this part of his career. Like,
this is insane. He's not even his on pace is way better than LeBron.
I'm not talking about the on pace, but I'm talking about he's the overall perfect package in a quarterback.
Yeah, the physical, like LeBron's a physical, perfect.
Then you argue, okay, Michael Jordan, he wasn't as big. He wasn't as big. He couldn't shoot the 3. People would make all these slight jabs to his game that weren't needed at the time. Brady running the ball. They didn't need a guy to be like that in the league. Not that he could have, right? But he might not have become a quarterback nowadays. You're looking at he's less athletic than Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy was the last.
Absolutely. Brock Purdy got wheels. Yeah. Brock Purdy got wheels.
Yeah,
Brock Purdy got wheels.
Way more athletic than.
So it's a little bit of a difference in generation here. But man, you guys might not hold rings, man. Tom Brady was the reason they won most of those rings. The reason
I don't
know. They lost.
That first one was that the Tuck Rule one. I don't know about that Tuck Rule one, the Vinatieri one. I don't know.
I got his stats up right here. The first one he won, it was very low scoring. He put up 150 yards and a touchdown, and no one did anything else, so they gave it to him. That was pretty much it. And they didn't give it the defensive players as much back then. It was a
the
default
defensive player's never going to get it unless they have like 8 sacks.
But like I said, they come back. They don't participate in the next one. The second one he comes in and he throws 350 and 3 touchdowns. Brock Purdy's not doing that.
He deserved that,
and he did that. That's his second one in.
Never.
Right? You could argue that of his first 3 Super Bowl appearances, his stats matched Mahomes' Super Bowl stats.
I didn't like Mahomes' first Super Bowl performance.
So
I'm
not saying Mahomes is a bad quarterback. I'm not trying to play. I'm just playing devil's advocate to these guys because they love Mahomes.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a lot for him to get it, and he easily could because of the pace that he's on. But I gotta see it without Andy Reid, who is now approaching 66 years old next month. He might have another, I would say, 2 to 3
max,
seasons.
Yeah.
Really? You think that much? That it?
Yeah.
Well,
and if preparing for next year, he might just say, "I'm good." If
he might pull
three in a row. Yeah,
I don't know. When life gives you Patrick Mahomes, man, you try to coach him the rest of your life, man.
Yeah, but he's not the healthiest of dudes either. So you got to take into account personal reasons, right?
Wait, what do you mean by that? No, I'm just playing.
He's a bigger guy, all right. But I don't know. I just think that even if he coaches for another 2 to 3 more seasons, I think the Chiefs are. I don't know, Zoo, if there's going to be a team. We'll see the Bengals back to full strength.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the Bengals and
the Ravens are always a problem. We'll see. But is it going to be the Chiefs Invitational for the next 10 years? Probably not.
Chiefs for the NFC
10 years.
I'm the NFC championship in the next 2-3 years. I'm putting them in already, man.
Oh, I'm not talking about the next 2 to 3. I'm saying once Andy Reid leaves, is this as guaranteed of a
if Andy Reid leaves, if Travis Kelce leaves, I'm nervous.
Well, then
I'm nervous. I'm very nervous, especially Travis Kelce leaving. His security blanket.
This team is right now, and if they were to stay the same for the next 10 years, which we know is impossible, he's easily passing the accolades as well. I just don't see it. So I think he's actually going to the second half of his career is actually going to be a lot harder.
It's going to be hard. It's very challenging.
It's flipped with Brady's. That's the best. That's the only thing I can think.
And I will say Brady made a very strategic move because he saw the blueprint when he was with the Patriots of how god awful that division was. And I'm not saying, and then you see what happens when he went to Tampa Bay. That's still one of the worst divisions. Like they're just always 500.
Yeah.
But you're kind of seeing with Patrick, like Jim Harbaugh's in that division. Like you said, the Raiders got Pierce. They played with fire. Maybe Russell Wilson has a revelation. I'm not banking on that, but he does have a division that could cause him a little bit of trouble. And just the AFC, Chargers would be very interesting. But just the AFC as a whole, I can't say it will be the Invitational because just the process of how many good quarterbacks in the AFC right now. Like just what you're saying, Herbert, Stroud, Jackson, Lamar,
Burrow,
Josh Allen. Like that's for Burrow. Trevor figures it out. That's 6 guys. Like there's no off weeks. So like even if Mahomes continues to play like how he plays, everybody's still gonna pick him because it's Mahomes. But it's like you got dudes in that conference on his side of the bracket where it's like any given Sunday they could go crazy, and we've seen it with Burrow. Like Burrow did it. So it's just like his path will be a whole lot harder. But I also think that could work into his favor because that could build his legacy even more. Like if you have a legacy of where you're consistently beating like Lamar, Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, like off of these guys, Burrow, that's gonna look like. Well, look at the guys he was beating because those guys are not going to continue to just play bad. They're going to be really good quarterbacks and probably, Stroud, Hall of Fame, like Josh Allen, Lamar are like trending towards Hall of Fame type guys. Like you're going to be like, whoa, wait. So when they all get into the Hall of Fame, like Mahomes is going to be sitting there like, yeah, I got about 4 or 5 and I beat you like 4 times more. And Josh, I beat you 3 times. Like it's going to be like, he can have those conversations and it's like, that's going to be a hell of an argument. Yeah. Like, because that's one thing about Brady is like he was in a trash division the AFC is. Yeah, pretty much.
And Jordan did it in the East. Just keep it on lock from these guys from winning championships.
Exactly. But that could be, like I said, that could be a
it's the Andy Reid
another feather in his cap. Yeah, it's the feather in his cap. So yeah, but Andy Reid, like I said, him retiring, interesting.
That's
because this is what I like. Yeah, if he wins without him, then it's like it enhances it. But like to your point, like we were talking about with Brady going to Tampa Bay, is like that's why for me, like I like LeBron because like as much as you say whatever about LeBron, he's gone to different organizations and won. that's not just
That's
easy.
hard.
People,
That's hard.
People think that's easy because like he's so great, but it's
Yeah.
like go look at the history of most people in that league and in the NFL. Like you can't just pick up shop and go somewhere else and like you gotta get everybody to follow in line. You gotta be the type of leader where everybody likes you because you're going to different type of situations where you're not gonna vibe with the person in LA like you did with the guy in Cleveland, like you did with the guy in Miami. Like it's just different cultures. So yeah, Mahomes. What we're saying basically is Mahomes is setting up to where if he continues at this pace, even like you said, he doesn't get the Super Bowls. If Andy Reid retires and the competition he's going against, and that's the scary,
battle.
huh?
I think he's just more of an uphill battle from now
No,
on
oh, yeah,
than he did in the first 6 years.
It's going to get harder after this.
It's going to get harder. Yeah, because that
it's going to be really hard to pick against him next year. But I mean, I'm just going to pick against him next year because 3 in a row is just like, what are we talking about? Like that's just
in the NFL.
Like,
something's going to happen to where he's not getting 3 in a row. Like you want to talk about a script? I love to mention that from time to time. That'll be the script. Mahomes cannot. Just the football guys can't allow 3 in a row. Come on, dude, just can't allow.
Yeah, not going to lie.
Gonna pick him off.
Not gonna lie, had a little promo on Caesar Sportsbook, man. They had a futures promo. Oh, man, put on the Chiefs, man. Put it on the Chiefs, man. I'm rolling it forward, man. All the winnings I made from the Chiefs Super Bowl before the season, all that money. Thank you very much, Patrick Mahomes, and that nice little bounce on the back of the foot. Thank you very much. I am celebrating those winnings, and I'm paying it forward to the Kansas City Chiefs again, man. I'm paying it forward.
Well, you know what, Zoo? I placed the same bet. I just put it on the Bears for next year, man. So you better watch out.
I like Pete Bush's. I like his payout when the Bears actually do figure that out.
Oh, so imagine that payout! Oh my God, I'm just gonna put a 5 on it every year.
Yeah, that payout will get you looking at retirement plans because those odds are going to be nice. But like you said, Mahomes, shout out to him. He figured it out, and like you say, man, right now he definitely is the GOAT, and the conversation starts and ends with him. So, we're going to be transitioning to the NBA right now. All-Star Weekend is this weekend, and NBA has flown by, I feel like. So I wanted to ask the guys, what is their one key storyline so far from the first half of the season? People, you can go ahead and start it off.
Well, it's just kind of a general, I guess, just, really quick. Yeah. I just feel like the last 4 or 5 years, the big man has kind of made that comeback a little bit with, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid kind of being the monsters. Well, now we're starting to see a little change in guard in teams, but also the young guards are coming into play, man. But then a lot of fun to watch this year. We got Shea, Jalen Brunson coming into his own on an absolutely team-friendly deal. We talk about it all the time.
MVP right now.
Zoo and I got to watch this kid play in high school, and so it's really just kind of cool to see him doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
We got the Tyrese Halliburton, Shea Gilgeous-Alexanders, Anthony Edwards obviously coming into his own as well. So I just kind of feel a little bit of a switch. Obviously, those big men, besides Embiid with his injury right now, are still balling out. But we are seeing a bit of an uptick. Maybe it kind of started with the Ja Morant a couple years ago, and then we kind of saw a little bit more of guard play becoming dominant yet again, and kind of leading a lot of these really young teams and passing the torch from the Warriors, Lakers, Miami Heat, who will always be relevant, but just some of the older teams
right now
been successful since. But teams that have been successful from 2014 kind of through 2020 around the bubble time are starting to kind of pass it off to teams like the Kings, who were the first kind of mover of that transition of the guard, and now I kind of am equating the Thunder of the Kings of last year, and the Thunder I think are a better version of them. So
they got better high-end talent for sure.
The guard play, but I just love kind of seeing new names, new all-stars, not just kind of those legacy. We're going to put them in there and put them in the starting lineup. So that's just kind of been a fun thing to see throughout the NBA this year.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like pretty much we're seeing the torch being passed right now to the new era. That's what I'm seeing right now. Like I love LeBron, I love Steph Curry, but these guys are in their late 30s now. These guys are not going to play. I don't know if they're going to play to 45. Maybe LeBron can if he actually wants to. But eventually, these guys are going to have to retire, and someone's going to have to take that mantle right now. And right now, you're seeing I just mentioned the guards, but I want to highlight the bigs a little more too, because obviously Joel Embiid was on an MVP pace before he messed up his knee, and Jokic I think is the best player in the world right now. But those centers dominating, and Giannis is more of a power forward. But these guys are these Euros right now. You can say those are the top 3 guys in the NBA right now. But the young guys and Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama, these are the unicorns we've been waiting for. We were promised with Kristaps Porzingis as the unicorn. But these are the unicorns right now. Like Victor Wembanyama got a triple-double with blocks playing 29 minutes. That is absurd. And then you see some of those blocks. It looks like a high school guy playing against a bunch of toddlers. Like sometimes, like Grady Dick trying to shoot that floater over, boop, boop. Like Jesus Christ, like his skill set is different. And Chet Holmgren right now with that OKC team, right? So we're seeing this era right now. We're past the Warriors dynasty. We're past the LeBron dynasty because pretty much that's pretty much is that Warriors / LeBron dynasty. Because right now, like I want to keep highlighting this. This league is wide open, man. It is wide open. Like I'm still gonna favor my boy Joker because he's the best player in the world and his impact in the playoffs is second to none. Because I think he has zero weaknesses on offenses. But some of these young teams are really, really interesting, and I'm I'm still gonna favor them. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're 1-2. Like I had expectations for them being making the playoffs, but 1-2, 1-2, 1-2.
At this point in the season,
I am shocked. Like I had the Thunder winning 45, maybe 49, 50 games, so like a really good season. But they're on pace to win 50 plus easy right now, and all these guys except Shea are rookie contracts. Rookie contracts, right? Like this Thunder, this Thunder story is incredible.
Oh, Lou Dort.
Yeah, Lou Dort. Yeah, he's a more minor role player.
He got paid though.
Yeah, he got paid, but like this kid, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, like, and Sean, your favorite SGA, man. Because this is the guy going. Like, I got Jokic 1, I got SGA 2 as MVP, and at the end of the season, if the Oklahoma City Thunder finish with the number 1 seed and have a substantial game advantage against the Denver Nuggets, you can make a realistic argument that the SGA is the MVP of the league, and we'll see the new first-time MVP for a while. And that is insane to say because this is a guy.
Rose-esque Zoo.
Not gonna lie, I love D Rose, man, but SGA right now is playing at a ridiculous level because this guy doesn't really have he doesn't have a great 3-point shot, but his ability to score in the mid-range, 6'6", lanky, the foul drawing, it's insane. I'm like, this guy put OKC back on the map. Like SGA put OKC back on the map, and they're gonna have a home field advantage. And this Oklahoma City team with a bunch of young bloods and Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, like the pieces reminds me of the Nuggets. They fit. These pieces fit. Chet Holmgren, the stretch 5. Sam Presti's the go GM. Like Jalen Williams is a 2-way wing, the Jimmy Butler, like Jaylen Brown, Tatum wing, that 2-way wing guy, complimentary. SGA, the lanky point guard. My goodness, every piece fits on this roster. And I'm really excited to see what they do in the playoffs because out of like the new generation, like the only current team I would say is like the Nuggets right now with Jokic. Actually, I put Jokic more post generation with being the new point center. Like that's something we've never seen before. But outside of that, like you got some old guys on the Clippers, like Kawhi Leonard, more of an older guy, but you got LeBron, the Steph Currys of the world. Those guys aren't like championship contenders. Bunch of new era players, and the only exception I would say are the Los Angeles Clippers with the Kawhi Leonard and Paul George era. So it's a new era right now in basketball, and it's fun to see. And we get to see an opportunity. Who's going to take the throne? Because we need a guy to carry the league.
It's up for grabs.
It's up for grabs, and it's extremely important because the ratings-wise, you need a guy to carry the ratings. The main character of the NBA story as a business. The business. It's hard. I don't know who it is right now. Like who would you get?
Well, see, this is
the guy to carry the league. Yeah,
this is
Jokic.
Giannis had the throne for a quick second, but it's kind of But this is the point I've always made. I've always made this point, and I've never really made it on this podcast, but I've always just made it when you're just talking banter with random people. Like this is why LeBron is so important because to your point about him being the best player for a significant amount of time, and Steph Curry to an extent,
I put Steph Curry
is on that level in terms of popularity. Because more so of his shooting ability and he's more relatable. Like you'll see more guys, even though Steph Curry is like 6'3", and Steph Curry is people try to say he looks like the common man. He's a common man in the NBA circles, maybe, but like to just a regular human walking around, like you're gonna look if you were to see Steph Curry standing outside, like, oh yeah, he plays basketball and he's probably pretty good. But like to your point about who's gonna take the throne and who's gonna assume the position of being the center phase, this is why LeBron is so important because LeBron, on top of being one of the best players, he pisses people the hell off and people either are in the I hate him, I like KD, I like Steph, or I absolutely adore him. He's better than Jordan. He has the polarization, and that is a thing. I always say to people, like, it will be interesting who the next star will be, because people like Steph, he's with that LeBron post generation. So he's going to be, I mean, when LeBron probably leaves out the door, Steph's going to be right behind him.
Yep.
And having a guy who people don't like or who people adore is super important, because that's what brings both sides together. Like, you can have a lot of good guys. You can have guys that people really like. But what separates stars and superstars and megastars, and why LeBron is just such a different type of guy, is you can't argue. Like, there are people who cannot stand anything LeBron. Like you said, I'm on social media all the time posting this stuff. There are people who just have dedicated stuff of like hate mail with LeBron, and then you have the dedicated, not hate mail, but hate comments, and then you have the people who are dedicated with LeBron and saying everything he does is great. And I feel like that type of draw is what makes you the mega star. And like you said, love Shea. I don't think he's that type of dude.
Personality-wise,
Anthony Edwards has moments where he's done stupid stuff, and it's like he's got fined and he's done stuff like he kind of has a little bit of polarization. I mean, I'm trying to think of other stars running down. Like Jokic, no personality.
No personality.
Giannis, he's goofy.
Goofy dad.
If you're just running down the list of guys, that's like
no personality.
Nobody has that. Nobody has it. So I think it's going to have to take like Luka. Love him to death, but he don't really have a personality off the court. And nobody really dislikes Luka. That's another thing. All these guys we're talking about, who outside of LeBron does anybody dislike?
This is my whole point.
I would say Kevin Durant probably is the closest. Like, people hate and love.
He's on his way out. He's going to be on his way out.
He's in that same generation. He's in that same bucket.
Yeah,
he's in that same bucket.
And he might age even more gracefully because he's.
But here's the other thing too.
Just,
you got to remember that like all these guys that we're talking about came up, like social media wasn't as big of a thing, and so I think people walk on eggshells a little bit more as
they're
players.
More careful. Yep.
Especially seeing what happened to Ja. I know we talk. I'm not even going to mention. Ja was going to be that polarization, and I think. If he hadn't gotten injured this year, we always joke about scripts and all that. Coming back and the start that he was having was another on the way.
He got the personality. He got the personality for sure.
He's got the skill set.
That's one guy I forgot.
He's dealing with injuries, right? But I just don't think. I think we're looking for the next LeBron, and we're never going to find it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying personality-wise, not the player, but like you could be the best player, but if you're like polar, but I mean, like another guy, he don't have that. Like
the polarization, though. And it's just because of his personality and because of his skill set and because he gets compared to Jordan. But even Kobe wasn't like. I mean, he had his whole scandal.
People hated Kobe. Like right now, everyone loves Kobe after him passing. That's
true.
But people hated Kobe.
No.
If you remember, people called him a ball hog.
Michael Jordan fans did, but I don't think the at large did.
People called him a ball hog, selfish for the whole Shaq dispute. People were taking Shaq's side. Like Kobe in like the mid 2000s,
he won 2 rings.
So he was very polarized, and then people loved him after he won. So Kobe was that guy in the 2000s.
But that also, but my point is, the reason LeBron is because he was brought up. He literally had besides the Mavs loss, the bleak spot in his career was the decision. And that was before Instagram was a thing. That was before Snapchat, Twitter, all that stuff. So he had that leading into social media. But now all these players that are coming in, this is what they were born with. This is what they grew up with, right? So it's just different.
And they're more careful. They're
more careful. Well, some, and but I just don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're ever going to see a polarization of a player like LeBron. Even Jordan wasn't that polarizing because you just didn't hear as much noise about it.
Yeah, you didn't see
you were at work, or you were with friends.
Water cooler, that's the only time you heard about. Like you said, if Jordan's like his gambling stories and all that stuff, you only heard that at the water cooler. You didn't see that on TV or hear it on the radio yet.
No, and now you pull out your phone and you can hear about what Kyrie Irving had for breakfast this morning. It just doesn't matter.
He's a polarizing guy, but he's kind of on the other side.
But he's also polarizing.
But he's also very quiet. He's also a very quiet guy. So it's just
I agree. And I got sidetracked because that is a really interesting question that Zoo posed, because it's like I've always had this argument. It's just it's like I don't know where the NBA. I don't think it's ever going to come with the person where it's just like there's so people because LeBron too. Like he it's basketball because of Jordan stuff, of course, but not even just like it's everything about his person. Like a lot, you either are with him. I've never met somebody that's like, yeah, I think LeBron, he's all right. You either are rocking with him, and I'm not saying like your sports, like or not sports, like his stats. Like, yeah, everybody agrees he's a great player, but I'm talking about like, do you prefer LeBron? Like, I'm a LeBron guy. I got friends. Anything LeBron does, they're sending the group. Like, this is why he's not whoever. Like, there's guys are KD and like it gets people riled up. And I think with the NBA, just because the NBA is more of a drama type league. That's just the league it is.
Cultural.
So like LeBron is the perfect main character for that because, like I said, his polarization.
Oh yeah.
I think going forward, you got guys like Ja and Anthony Edwards has moments, but that'll be interesting. But that's sidetracking my point. Like my biggest, I would say, takeaway from the first half of the NBA season is there is one team that I am very, very, very interested in, and it's in the East, the Orlando Magic.
Oh wow!
I'm going to go on record right now. If they somehow make the playoffs with the first 6 seeds, or make the play-in and then win a game, they're beating whoever is in that top 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. They're beating them. I think they are. They are beating that team, and I'm just going to go down a couple of reasons why.
Oh wow!
Franz Wagner, right? Franz Wagner, when he first was like with the Orlando Magic, everybody's like, "Oh my god, like this guy's unbelievable," and he's still playing unbelievably well. Like outside shot is a little weird, but he's averaging like 21 plus points. Paolo Banchero has taken a leap in terms of being I guess you could say like he's a multi-use guy. Like he can point forward. He can take the ball off the court. Forward. He can make passes. His shot's okay. It's not great, but he can get to the back. It doesn't matter. Like at that size, his shot will come along. But like at that size, him getting to the rim, making great plays, that's just he's making the necessary jumps that you would want to see from a 1 to 2. Because I remember a lot of people in that draft was like Paolo or Chet, and you're not going to go wrong with either player. But I still kind of bet on Paolo because, as we've seen in this league, it's about wings. Jalen Suggs, in terms of his draft position, was a high draft pick. But now he's kind of accepted his role as being like, yo, I'm just a dude. And that's not to say he can't grow and be a better player, but right now for this team, he's just a dude who was a hell of a defender at 6'5", shooting about 38, 39% from 3, classic 3-and-D guy. He's basically Marcus Smart light. Like, I don't think he's Marcus Smart, but he's a guy that plays a pivotal role. Like Marcus Smart, I would say more so than Jalen, thought he was probably the best player on the team, especially with his taking shots in clutch moments and not giving the ball to Tatum or Brown. But like, I don't think Jalen Suggs has that type of mentality, but I think he knows his role on that team. And he knows like, I was a high pick, but I'm a guy now. I'm a 3-and-D guy. And, maybe if I keep playing this way, I can develop. But he knows his role. And to me, I'm looking at them like, who's the other guy? Jonathan Isaac. One of the better defenders in this league.
Yep.
Like blocking shots, guarding big men, guarding out on the perimeter. Like his, like, I guess you could say, unfortunate part of his career has been because of his injury. Like if he hasn't been injured, like he would probably be one of these highly sought after guys in terms of on a free agent market. If he ever went there and, he would get a bigger contract. He's just been injured a lot. But him being healthy, like I'm just thinking of like playoff matchups. Like he could make life hard for a lot of wings in the East, right?
The Cavs.
So I'm looking at that. The Cavs. I think he could make life really hard for Jason Tatum. But that could be a totally different conversation. Like he can make life hard for a lot of guys. But anyways, then I'm looking at like the size as a team. They're not the Lakers. But last year with the Lakers, the reason why I think they were able to advance into the Western Conference Finals, of course, you got LeBron and AD. I get that. And nobody on that team is LeBron or AD. That's the like obvious point. But the Lakers, similar to like what I seen in Orlando Magic, they're a massive team. And I know we just talked about the guards, but just in terms of playoff success and what champions have been made of, if your name is not Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, or Allen Iverson, you're not going far in the playoffs. It just doesn't matter. You're not. Like those are the small guards in our league or in their league that has made it through the playoffs and has won championships. Well, Allen Iverson didn't, but he got to the finals. And that Allen Iverson team is still crazy.
Isaiah Thomas Pistons for any young viewers, not
Celtics.
Thank you for saying that because most people didn't know. Yeah, because they definitely would have thought of Isaiah Thomas for the Boston Celtics. Shout out to him, but no, it's the Pistons, Isaiah. But Like I'm looking at their roster, like Paolo's 6'10, Franz is 6'10, Wendell Carter 6'10, Fultz and Suggs are 6'4, 6'5. Anthony Black, their rookie, who's kind of playing all right. Like he probably needs to be in G League playing a little bit more, but he's another 6'7 wing. Like you got Cole Anthony as a guy coming off the bench. He's 6'2, but he's like like you say, a microwave scorer. I think if they're able to get in the playoffs, like I said, they got to. I mean, right now I think they're like 6, 7. Anything can happen. They can get beaten the play-in, and this is a moot point. But their size and their matchups similar to the Lakers, like how Lakers had Rui, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron, Anthony Davis, all these big wings. That matters in the playoffs. I know we love guards, but there is nothing like the 6'8", 6'9", 6'10 wing that can take you out of your offense. And now all that hot dogging you're doing in the regular season with making all these 3-point shots, you kind of can't get that off because you got to also remember too, the playoffs is a different brand of basketball. They don't how they play. That's why I've always, and I'm going into another point, but like that's why I've always said where certain teams and certain pedigree, like I know we get excited for the OKCs, we get excited for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it's the reason why these teams are young. And usually, as we've seen, Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, Anthony Davis, all these guys who are big wings, big imposing guys, they usually end up winning. Steph Curry is the exception, but you want to know why he's the exception? He's the greatest shooter ever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going against another team that's going to have the greatest. Yeah, it's only one of. He's a one of one. He's a one of one. So it's like more than likely in these, and like you said, with these playoff matchups, it's going to be interesting how these seedings go because I guarantee you, like as much as the Lakers and Golden State is struggling, and everybody's like, it's whatever. And for me, I know they're both struggling, but to me, Steph Curry being his age, like 35, 36, and LeBron being 39, I never expect these teams to be winning 50, 60 games. Anybody, like to me, when those numbers come out in the preseason, like what is the over-under, to say the wins are like 47, 48, you should never take that if you're looking at a LeBron or Steph team. It's a marathon with those guys. They're not trying to get to 50 and 60 wins. They just need, like most of them want to get in that top 6 and then play the playoffs. And like you said, I don't care what, and I'm not saying they're saying this, but Shea, Anthony, they can talk all big they want to. I guarantee you, if they get the 1 or 2 seed and they see LeBron and Steph at 7 and 8, they're nervous.
No, of course.
Because they've been there and done that before. And if I see that, I'm more than likely going to pick Steph or LeBron in those series because they've been there and done that before. And to me, when I look at Orlando, just circling it back there, wrapping that up, they haven't been in the playoffs and done it either. But their team is massive. And to me, Paolo being a point, like if they got matched up with the Cleveland, like Donovan, Darius, and I've been saying we still need to see how they play together because Donovan's great when those guys are not healthy. But
I'll let you know when I see him later this month.
The Knicks, they got wings and stuff like that too. Boston, that's another interesting one. Like they can match up with a lot of teams, dude. And Jonathan Isaac being more of a selfless player, and he's not like I'm demanding the ball down low. Him and Wendell like patrolling the paint. They're gonna scare some people. Like I'm telling you, Boston or Milwaukee or whoever. I mean, I don't know who's going to be Cleveland. If they see Orlando in that first round, they're going to be like, damn it. Because I think they got wings that could bother. So I'm hoping they at least get in the 6 to 7 range, 8. Because then if they land in the 9 or 10, it could be a, win or go home, and then they might not get in. But I think if they get in that 6 to 8 range, then it's like I think they're probably going to get in the playoffs, and they're gonna make life hell for them because. And this is all about Paolo because Franz has been that dude. He came in really good, and Paolo came in good too. But like this year, he's taking a step. And you know my theory. Like I always feel like when you're playing with house money, man, you just go out there and play, willy nilly, and it doesn't matter. So I'm really interested in how they play because like you said, the East. Most people that don't follow it are gonna say it's Boston Celtics, but man, like Zeus said about the NBA this year, it's open. We don't know what could happen. We could have an OKC freaking Orlando final. How crazy would that be?
Oh my!
It would not shock me if that happened. The only thing that would shock me if like Trae Young made it to the finals or something because that team. But or the Bulls. But the Bulls are playing. So
dreams the Bulls make the finals, man. That is unfathomable. This team is not.
That would be great. They're in the play-in, so like you said, anything. Look at that. Wasn't it Atlanta? Wasn't they like a 9 seed and they won and they end up in the Eastern Conference Finals?
The Heat were a play-in team last year.
He were a play-in team.
Yeah.
Well, sorry,
they reversed.
They came back on the Bulls, man. That's what.
Imagine if I mean they have Jimmy Butler, so it's different. But imagine if those roles were reversed and like you guys went on a Heat run and went to the finals against Jokic. Oh my god. Oh god. That tells you about just the NBA, man. That tells you about the NBA. But I will say, All-Star Weekend, full disclosure. Only thing I'm looking forward to is the Steph and Sabrina. I think that's her name. That 3-point shootout. Everything else, like I say, I love All-Star Weekend, but it's more so about like I like watching basketball with like high level players, but I'm not like, I can't wait for the dunk contest because I feel like it's all watered down. And plus too, it's sometimes a lot of like no name guys doing dunk contests. Yep. The stars don't really do
it. Mac McClung was nice.
Yeah, he was nice. He had nice dunks.
He's back this year.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, he is back this year. So let's see that back. I might watch it then because he was good last year to defend his crown. But yeah,
Jaylen Brown's also in this year.
Oh really?
Oh, so an All-Star for the first time in a while.
Well, that's a long time.
Yep.
He's in a dunk contest?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown. Pretty odd.
Yeah, he's got a couple of posters.
He's trying to assert dominance over Tatum. That's what he's trying to do.
He's gonna come back into the locker room with a dunk contest trophy.
He's like,
listen, he's already kind of asserting dominance because he's got the contract, right? Even though Tatum's going to get it, but he's got the contract right now.
He's history of sports.
It's funny you say assert dominance because I guarantee you, when they go out to dinner, Brown is picking up that tab just to assert the dominance, just so he can do it right now until Tatum gets his contract, and then Tatum will do it. But yeah, he's definitely probably doing that in every away game dinner. So yeah, but also weekend is up this weekend. Like I said, make sure you guys are following us on YouTube, Quantro Knows, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Listen to us on all those streaming websites, apps, however you figure it out. Like, so you can listen to those things on your laptop. It doesn't just have to necessarily be a phone. Tyson Talks _ is our handle that you will be looking for on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm trying to look at other avenues of where we can be streaming some of our stuff. So make sure you're tuned in for that. And for me, Zoo and P-Bush, we are out.